I'm just about to reveal how regular people like you and me are making money on fancyhands.com from their homes without any skills or previous experience. So let's get started. Now I know that the name of the website may sound a little bit strange at first, but it will make sense in just a second, so stick with me. Let me briefly explain how this works. You see, Fancy Hands is a team of US-based virtual assistants that are ready to work with you starting today. But we are not here to employ someone else's services. We're not interested in that. We are here to make money ourselves. So let me show you how that would work. First and foremost, if you're not entirely familiar with what a virtual assistant does, we are basically talking about completing some very easy yet repetitive tasks that any business needs to deal with. So this sort of service is really helpful. But most of the times you don't actually need to have a certain skill, or you don't need to have expertise or previous experience in a distinct field of activity to make this work. All you gotta do is just invest a little bit of your spare time. So if you have time, you're perfectly qualified. Now, of course, an internet connection and a laptop would also be required, but that's about it. And you would be surprised with how much money you can actually make as a virtual assistant once you're working with a client on a long-term basis. We're talking about a nice part-time salary. But if you want to apply for fancyhands.com, and if you want to join their crowdsourcing platform, what you want to do is switch over to the jobs section. You see, whenever a new business connects to fancyhands.com and requests a certain service to be done, they're just going to reach out to one of their virtual assistants and assign that job to him. And if you're ready to join their team, here's what you got to do. You want to click on the jobs section, and that's going to take you to this platform. Fancy Hands offers virtual assistants to everyone. But in order to do this, they need to have a great team. And so if you're good on the phone and great at internet research, then you are perfectly qualified. And this could be the perfect position for you. Guys, if that is your case, you want to click on apply for an assistant position, and that will take you to the sign up form where you can work for Fancy Hands from home. And that might actually be the biggest advantage here. You get to work from home, you get to work your own hours, you get to make your own schedule. At the end of the day, you're just an independent contractor or a freelancer. You're not really tied as you would be with a 9-to-5. So you can still pursue some other endeavors at the same time. But let me be a little bit more precise. Here is the kind of work that we are talking about. Making phone calls on behalf of people, tracking down the best price for something, and this is just a question of doing some research online, which you're already doing anyway, but now you're getting paid for it. Finding hotels that meet certain criteria, data entry, and more phone calls. And here is who they are looking for. You can just read these requirements right here, see if you meet that criteria, and determine whether or not you match the profile. They are looking for very strong written communication skills. People will tell you what to do, but you must be able to figure out what they're asking for and be able to get a clear response back to them. You also need to have a computer and a reliable internet connection, just as I've mentioned before. But again, this is just common sense. They're looking for people with knowledge of different fields. That's certainly gonna come in handy. And they're looking for a self-starter. You should want to take on responsibility and try new things. When it comes to the pay rate, which is the most interesting part, tasks are worth anywhere from $3 to $7. And go up from there. You cannot expect to earn hundreds of dollars for every individual task if you're just starting out, but eventually, as you progress, as you go through the levels and build up some experience, you will get paid for your time and for your expertise now, because you've started gaining some experience. And when it comes to the payment itself, that will go out every other week, so you shouldn't wait too long before your bank account will reflect your balance. By the way, guys, you get to define your own hours, and I think this is something I've already mentioned. Ideally, they want people around 24 hours a day, so if you've got time at 4 a.m., that's great because most people do not. But if you want to work a 9-to-5, that's also pretty good. Let's not waste any more time, guys. This sounds pretty good to me. It's definitely a great opportunity, so I'm gonna hit the apply now button. And this is where you would set up your account. First off, you need to confirm your email address. So let me do just that and I'll be back in a second. If everything goes according to plan, you should receive an email that looks something like this, where you get to set up your password. Moving on, this is where you add your basic information. Your first and last name, your physical address, and then your resume. Unfortunately, this is a required field, and so you need to paste in your most recent resume. You'd also have to answer some more specific questions, such as which scenario below would a Google Doc be most useful for? Searching the web, locating a doctor, or sharing a spreadsheet with someone? Now, that is pretty obvious, isn't it? What program opens up a .docs file? And again, you would have to pick the correct answer. These are just some screening questions that are gonna make sure that you know how to use a computer, but I'm pretty sure that most of you will pass it. You will also have to answer some pretty basic grammar questions, but once that is out of the way, you're good to go. But let me tell you something, I know that some of you may not even have a resume just yet. perhaps you're in college and you're just looking for a side hustle to make some money on the side. If that's the case, you don't necessarily have to connect to fancyhands.com whatsoever. You see, working as a virtual assistant doesn't necessarily have to be done on this platform. If you're looking for microtasking gigs, as they are called, completing very easy jobs that are quite repetitive, there are some other websites out there as well. And you can even do it independently as a freelancer, as I'm about to show you. You see, the first platform that comes to mind is the Amazon Mechanical Turk. Believe it or not, Amazon has also put together a 24/7 workforce. What you want to do is sign in as a worker, and that will allow you to take on pretty easy jobs. Companies will connect to Amazon MTurk, just submit their requirements, and then Amazon will bring those forwards to their crowd of workers. And you can also join their team for free. Now, most of the times, these are not going to be too profitable, so it's a numbers game here. If you have a lot of spare time, you may want to give it a try. Otherwise, you may want to skip it. And here's another very similar panel that also pays you for completing easy tasks. It is called ClickWorker, and it serves a pretty interesting purpose. You see, they're basically trying to train artificial intelligence, and in order to do that, they need to have a huge database to work with. That's how you're gonna help them. You're just going to provide them with input. What you wanna do is switch over to the ClickWorker job area, and once you're here, you can profit from your talents. Text creation, copy editing, research, proofreading, app testing, and the list goes on. There will be no shortage of opportunities for sure. And again, you can make money remotely without any solid skill. But guys, let me tell you something. If working as a virtual assistant remotely from the comfort of your home sounds appealing to you, then you may want to do something else. Take a look at this. If you head over to Fiverr and you search for a virtual assistant service, you're gonna find there is quite a lot of competition here, over 35,000 different services. But not all of them are gonna stand out. You see, if we sort them by the best-selling ones, we can see something quite impressive. There are people here literally making tens of thousands of dollars just by providing virtual assistant services, data entry, copying and pasting, data mining, internet research, things that virtually anyone can do. They do take time. You need to be a pretty organized person in order to do this successfully, but all in all, anyone can do it. And let me tell you something. I've actually had multiple friends who have started off with virtual assistant services. All they did was just help other businesses collect data, do their research, do their repetitive jobs. But once you find one long-term client, that's all it takes, because moving forward, they're just gonna keep on paying you as long as they need your service. And most of the times that's gonna be for several months. If you really wanna stand out from the other sellers, all you have to do is pick one of these best-selling ones and literally model their gig. Create a very similar thumbnail, add a very similar title and description, and that's it. You can also copy their rates. Now, to be entirely truthful, you cannot really expect to earn more than $1,000, I would say, as a virtual assistant on a monthly basis. Everything up to $1,000 is entirely possible, and you can do it. It may take a little bit more time, but it is doable. But earning more than $1,000 would require you to know a certain skill to provide a little bit more value to that client. And I think that the easiest way you can upgrade from being a virtual assistant to something that pays you a little bit more is by providing social media management services. What does a social media manager actually do? Well, they're just in charge of posting, scheduling content, answering DMs, making sure that information is up to date. That's pretty much it. Now, of course, if you can also provide content creation services and perhaps growth marketing services, you can charge a lot more. These skills are going to stack up exponentially, so you can make a lot more money in the long run. But as a beginner who's just starting out, providing social media management services is definitely quite profitable. And so here's the way I would do it. First of all, I would try to apply for fancyhands.com. However, as you can see, their team consists of US-based virtual assistants. So unless you live in the United States, you will not be able to go through the application. If that's the case, you want to switch over to Fiverr, Upwork, or any other freelancing website and provide this sort of service independently. If you choose the second path, it will be slightly more difficult. There will be an added degree of complexity, but as you build your credibility, as you get more testimonials, more client reviews, you will become an established seller, just like these guys right here. It is a gradual process and it takes time, but the sooner you start, the sooner you see results. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching.